Hey guys, it's Andrew from Capable, and today we'll be showing you how to install stainless steel handrail using only straight cuts. We're going to accomplish this using our new handrail hinge. First, we'll cover the most common configurations it would be installed in, and then we'll cover some more uncommon situations. Let's dive in. For our first step, we need to prepare our handrail. If we had a terminal post, we'll use a post template and drill guide to find where we need to make our cut. We'll place the guide onto the modern top collar and then lay our handrail onto that before making a mark at the edge of the guide. If our post at the stairs is a line or intermediate post, we'd instead cut our handrail at the edge of the post minus 1/8 of an inch. We'll take away our handrail and make our cross cuts using a mitering bandsaw, filing down any burrs as necessary. Next, we need to determine the pitch or angle of our stairs. We have a separate video covering that, which you can find in the description or through the button in the upper right hand corner. The quick version is to run a straight edge from one cable inflection point to the other, and then to set an angle finder on that straight edge. Once we have that angle, we'll note it down for later. If your run is shorter than a full stick of handrail, there's an even easier way to get your angle. We'll cover that later when we need to lock our hinge angles. The handrail hinge consists of 3 parts, part A, B, and C. When put together, this is what it looks like. We'll slide parts A and B of our hinge into the piece of handrail we just cut, making sure that the hinge will swing in the proper direction and that the nut will be accessible. To secure this part in place, we'll measure a 1/2 inch from where we cut on the underside of the handrail and drill a 1-inch deep hole on center using our 5/32 inch drill bit. This will drill into the Delrin plug itself. Now we'll tap with a 1024 tap. To make sure we have a clean hole, we'll apply a drop of Bow Shield T9, machine oil, or even WD-40. Run the tap in, blow the holes out with canned air, and tap again for good measure. With that hole taken care of, we'll drive in a 1024 by 1/2 inch set screw using our 3/32 inch Allen wrench. This screw will prevent the hinge from shifting and creating gaps once the railing is under tension. Now we're ready to attach our post top. If we're on any sort of tensioning post, we'd use our handrail drill guide and template aligned with the cut of the handrail and position the collar so that the screws are in a diamond formation. We'll only end up drilling and securing 3 screws, since the 4th would partially overlap the set screw we secured earlier. We'll drill our 3 pilot holes through the wall of the handrail and into the plug of part A. For a line post, we would secure the top in place with our handrail clamp for line posts. We'll set that in place using one of the feet on the handrail and the other on the post top. Now we'll drill our 2 pilot holes, tap them with a 1024 tap, and secure the post top with our 2 3/4 inch screws. For the other end of our stairs, what we do will depend on what we need to do with our handrail. In the most common case, our handrail would end and we'd construct a stair kickout. The other cases would be our handrail being installed at a corner, or our handrail continuing in a straight section over either a tensioning post or a line post. Let's look at each of these cases. To assemble the stair kickout, we'll start by sliding part A of our handrail hinge into the end of the kickout, making sure that it pivots in the correct direction. Now we need to create a pilot hole in the hinge plug by drilling 1 inch into the non-threaded hole. We'll tap the hole with the 1024 tap from earlier and secure it with a 1024 by 1/2 inch set screw and 3/32 Allen wrench. Next, we'll attach the post top collar to our pre-cut handrail section using 2 handrail mounting screws. We'll drive those into the pre-tapped holes with a 5/32 inch Allen wrench. If we weren't using our pre-made stair kickout piece, we would need to drill those holes ourselves. Finally, we'll insert the end cap into the other end of the kickout piece. If the fit is slightly loose, use a thin bead of clear exterior grade silicone caulk on both of the long edges of the end cap. Now we're ready to install the handrail between our hinges. We'll start by loosening the nut on this part here, which will allow us to make slight adjustments to the angle. We'll take a scrap piece of handrail material and insert it over part C of the handrail hinge to serve as a placeholder while setting the angle. Now, our stair run is shorter than a full stick of handrail, so we're using a second handrail scrap at the other end, and we're going to set our stick of handrail on both scraps. We'll press each scrap flat against the handrail and then use a 7/16 inch socket head wrench to tighten the nut on each hinge to lock the angle in place, No angle finder required. We're using a socket wrench with an extension head to tighten the nut through the handrail scrap so we don't disrupt the hinge. Now, if our run was longer than a full stick of handrail, we'd use the angle we found earlier and set the handrail scrap to match the pitch before locking it in place with a 7/16 inch socket wrench. To get the length of our handrail, we'll measure from the inside rim of each exposed hinge plug and cut a piece to this length. If necessary, we'd use a fixed straight spline to join multiple pieces together until we meet the desired length. If your stair section is shorter than the length of your handrail piece, you can even just set the handrail on the hinges and scribe your cut with a pencil. We'll slide this piece over part C of the handrail hinge at the end of our stairs where the kickout is. When our railing is fully assembled, the tension of the cables will hold all of this together with no problems at all. That said, you can always install a few set screws for peace of mind. If you don't want to worry about this, skip ahead to this timestamp in the video. If we wanted to do this, here's how we'd accomplish it. We'll mark and drill 2 holes on the underside of the handrail. Each hole will be 1/2 inch from the cut edge of the handrail and 1/2 inch from either wall. To prevent the drill bit from wandering on the surface, we're using a center punch to create a point for drilling. We'll drill 1 inch deep, going into the handrail hinge plug. We're not drilling in the center, since we would hit the screw from the handrail hinge. Once again, we'll tap these holes using the same process as earlier. Finally, we'll secure each hole with a 1/2 inch set screw driven in by our 3/32 inch Allen wrench. If the space we were installing this in was too difficult to work around, we could instead install a set screw through the side wall of the handrail. We'll take this section of handrail and kickout assembly and slide it onto the handrail hinge at the other side, and then lock it into place by securing the post top collar onto the center pin of our bottom post. We should be all set to secure all of our post tops now. If our stair railing were to make a 90-degree turn, it would change our process slightly. Let's take a look at what would be different. For this section, we need to make a 90-degree turn to continue our handrail down these steps. We've run this top piece up to the edge of our drill guide and template. As a quick note, our post and level handrail are all fully installed and secured, but we haven't inserted the end cap yet. We'll do that later. These holes on our template will be where we secure part B of our handrail hinge. With our position set, we'll secure it with a clamp. Next, we'll drill our 2 pilot holes with a 7/32 inch drill bit, tapping both with a 1/4-20 tap before bringing part B into place. For the hinge itself, we'll make sure we've set the pivot screw in the center slot, and then we'll install the hinge by driving in 2 1/4-20 by 1/2 inch screws with a 3/16 inch Allen wrench. We'll bring in part C and slide it over the screw. We'll now loosely secure this with a nut, making sure that the hinge doesn't completely lock in place. We want this to be movable, but not so loose that it moves without touching it. Now we're ready to set the angle of our hinge. We just follow the steps from earlier to finish this section. Once that's done, we'll insert an end cap at the corner joint, making sure the notch is oriented towards the hinge. And that's how you install our handrail hinge for Venture Series handrail on the most common stair configurations. If you have any questions, be sure to let us know in the comments below or give us a call with specific questions. Start your project today at cablebullet.com.